After finishing 4th in the Premier League standings last season, Chelsea really look like a team that means business. Frank Lampard's journey towards managing a club he represented so proudly as a player has not been easy. The Englishman has had to work really hard to be where he is. After impressing as the manager of Derby County, whom he almost guided to the Premier League last season, Lampard was given the chance to become a Chelsea manager by Roman Abramovich. The decision initially seemed like an emotional one, but fast forward 12 months and the club's owner made the right call. Lampard definitely deserves to be where he is today. The former midfielder was given the charge of a club that had recently lost its star player in the shape of Eden Hazard, didn't have a lot of strong options in the squad and had been slapped with a 2-window transfer ban. After a 1-year transfer ban, Chelsea were finally able to flex their muscles in the transfer market once again. In recent years, the Blues haven't splashed a lot of cash on new players like they used to when Abramovich first arrived. This time around though, the Londoners have started making good use of the cash they had in hand. Before the previous season concluded, they'd already announced the signing of Hakim Ziyech from Ajax. The Moroccan's arrival will add a lot of creativity and class in the team's forward lineup that already boasts the talents of Christian Pulisic and Callum Hudson-Odoi. Indeed, Chelsea do seem to look more and more like a team that will be an attacking threat in the upcoming season. Lampard was even able to convince Timo Werner to leave RB Leipzig for Stamford Bridge. The German arrives in London with a reputation of being one of the most informed strikers in Europe, and his presence definitely eases the burden on Tammy Abraham's shoulders. And with Jorginho playing as a deep-lying playmaker and Mason Mount controlling the centre of the park, with Ziyech and Werner on either flank, this team promises to be a goal-scoring machine. Werner managed 28 goals last season, quite a few behind Robert Lewandowski. However, he has time on his side, and if he continues to further his development in the Premier League, there's no telling how bright he'll be shining in the coming years. The left-back role was a bit of a headache last season for Chelsea, and the big-money signing of Ben Chilwell from Leicester City adds a lot more depth and gives them a fullback who's still a few years away from his peak. Initially, Leicester were reportedly unwilling to reduce their €80 million valuation for the player. However, Chelsea were able to convince them into lowering their asking price. The Foxes will still be happy with the amount that they received for the transfer and will actually be in a position to invest in their squad this summer. Furthermore, Malang Sarr chose not to extend his contract with OGC Nice once it expired, and Chelsea quickly snapped him up. And even though he's likely to be sent out on loan, the youngster is bound to be a long-term project. The arrival of Sarr is definitely an interesting case. The youngster might not be able to break into the first team, and Lampard did the right thing by already deciding to farm him out. With the likes of Anthony Rudiger, Kurt Zouma, and Fikayo Tomori already pushing for a starting role alongside Andreas Christensen, the youngster would do well to continue his development elsewhere. Moreover, a very recent turn of events means that Sarr had no other option either. The club also completed the signing of legendary Brazilian defender Thiago Silva once his contract expired at PSG. The 35-year-old brings a lot of experience and assuredness in defence, which is the club's only real weak point at the moment. While he might not be getting any younger, the former AC Milan defender is a class act. He is definitely one of the most dominating defenders in the last 10 years, and his resume speaks for itself. More than that, Chelsea's young squad could definitely do with a calming influence on the pitch and in the dressing room. Thiago Silva fits the mould and is a great leader. His presence becomes even more important following the departures of Pedro to AS Roma and Willian to Arsenal. After spending big this summer, Lampard definitely is going to be under a lot of pressure to deliver. The former midfielder has been given a lot of backing by the club's hierarchy, and we're not sure if Abramovich will be very patient if the legend fails to deliver. Chelsea have historically never shown a lot of patience with managers when it comes to delivering silverware on a platter. In the last 10 years or so, a lot of reputations have been affected. Luis Felipe Scolari arrived at the club with the reputation of being one of the greatest managers of all time, but things didn't work out for the Brazilian and he was sacked. Carlo Ancelotti guided Chelsea to back-to-back wins, but he was sacked the moment things started going wrong. Jose Mourinho is considered a legend at Stamford Bridge, and Abramovich has quite the soft spot for him. However, the special one was also sacked in both spells at the club. So how can the club be patient with a manager who's yet to win any piece of silverware? Lampard enjoys a legendary status at Chelsea. After guiding them to countless top honours and collecting several individual accolades along the way, Lampard deserves to be given all the respect by the club's fans and management. But it should also be noted that the former midfielder has been given a lot of backing, the sort of backing that isn't confined to just good words in front of the reporters. The hierarchy of the club decided to bring in their big suitcases and allow their manager to splash the cash on whichever players he feels are right for the club. Chelsea's summer transfer activity isn't even over yet. They're also on the verge of completing a club record deal for German international Kai Havertz from Bayer Leverkusen. The young forward is one of the most promising players coming out of the German system in recent memory. His arrival, should it happen and should it work out, will set the club perfectly for the next 5 to 10 years. Havertz is definitely a unique talent and has the ability to fill in multiple roles up front. He can play as a playmaker, can be used down the flanks, and can even play as a centre forward, a position in which he thrived in the last few weeks of the 2019-20 Bundesliga season. Now imagine if, despite spending some crazy money on some of the most talented players on the planet, Chelsea's season goes off the rail. Legendary status or not, Lampard will not be given a lot of time to shape the squad in his image. Chelsea spending the sort of money that's reminiscent of the Russian owner's early days at the club is a clear sign that the club is focusing completely on results, and anything less than a serious title assault and a few trophies along the way would be totally unacceptable. Now that they're in a position to once again spend big on key players from pretty much every league in the world, Chelsea know that they can also attract a top manager whenever they want to. This is maybe the reason why Lampard is supposed to not just be happy finishing inside the top 4. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is struggling to get practical backing from the Glazers and their right-hand man Ed Woodward. Manchester United have been struggling to finalise a transfer for Jadon Sancho, and let's not even talk about the other targets. The Red Devils manager is likely to struggle if the status quo doesn't change, but won't be solely to blame for the team's performances on the pitch if that happens. Lampard's in a completely different boat, and is expected to compete for top honours and win at least one of those. Indeed, it wouldn't make any sense at all if Chelsea were to end the upcoming Premier League campaign as also Rans. The Englishman has a talented squad at his disposal, and the Blues should be scoring goals and playing entertaining football along the way. While there's still a few question marks over the defence, the arrival of Thiago Silva calms things down quite a bit. A lot of managers such as Mauricio Pochettino and Massimiliano Allegri will be looking at what's happening at Stamford Bridge. Should Lampard struggle, calls will be made to available tacticians. And hey, with the resources at hand and the depth of talent, why wouldn't any top manager jump at the chance to take the managerial hot seat at Stamford Bridge? Want to know how we never miss a match? With Fubo TV, you can stream any game, anytime, anywhere. Use our link in the description to start for free and watch your favourite teams live.